So this is my new monitor setup in the 86. If you remember right, I had that big old goofy thing up here. This one I actually made so it can tuck away on top of the dash. So this, I don't have the dash screwed in yet, but this will actually flip up, and I can slide it away to store it. My plan is at some point to get the heater controls working, and I didn't want to block those, so I made it to where I can slide it in here if I want to get it up out of the way. So for right now, we'll keep it down there. And then I've got a power switch right down here. That also powers my USB plugins I put over there. So you can see the screen comes on. We've got to power it up. And it takes a little bit. Now, if you've seen a Raspberry Pi before, you know that it's about, I don't know, some people claim they can get it to boot up in 17 seconds, some claim 30. This is a full Windows 10 PC that boots, it's fairly quick. So this is what it looks like all put away. You can see it slides up in there nice, stays in there. And this right here is the LarkBox. It's a LarkBox Pro. This is the full Windows 10 PC. It's tiny. It's probably 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. It is really small. We'll turn on the other gauges. You guys can get a... If you haven't seen my gauges, these are all glow shift gauges. I've had them forever. I love them, and I really didn't want to get rid of them. And this is a custom plate that I made to hold all the gauges. More glow shift gauges down there. That's boost and AFR. And I made this so it was a snug fit, so it wouldn't fall out. There you go. And this is it just supported on the back side of the dash right here, so it might vibrate a little bit when the car's running, but I'm okay with that. Gives you a full visual. Now this is not a touch screen. I didn't want it to be a touch screen. I've got a keyboard that I use for it right here. This guy. So that's my full keyboard that I use for it. So this is pretty much the view from my driving angle here, and I just freaking love this thing. So you can see it's a full Windows operating system. So it's got a full version of Tuner Studio on it. It did have a couple of other dashboards, but those are long gone. I just use this main one. I like the main one. I think it works really good. I was thinking about adding some other ones. They've got some pretty cool clusters, like the stock ones. I'll show you some of these. If you go in here, you can drop down, and these are the ones that it comes with. Some of these, I think it's the analog bar. Yeah, this one I like. I like this one. I was going to have this as just a secondary one. I think that looks pretty cool also. And then again, I make a lot of custom dash setups on my own. So I've got a lot of my own dash setups. I just haven't loaded them to this yet. I really love this setup. I love the monitor. It's super simple, super easy. Now the only catch is with the LarkBox instead of a Raspberry Pi, there is no way in the BIOS of the LarkBox to set it up to where it automatically powers on. The other problem is that if you just shut it off, because it's a PC, it'll cause issues. So what you have to do is shut it down. So there's a little button on it. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little button right on the LarkBox right here. Watch when I hit that. It'll just automatically shut it down. So I did set it up to where that button shuts it down, so I have to shut that off, and then I can turn the car off. Now I do have it set up to where there's power all the time on that. That way if I accidentally shut the key off, it doesn't just kill that. I actually have to turn that off manually. So it's off. See, I've got the key off. I can turn it back on, and it'll boot itself back up. Now, it is not the fastest booting in the world, but I love the fact that I've got a full Windows 10 desktop here. I can connect it to the internet. Hell, I can even stream YouTube videos on here if I want to. If I'm on a long car ride, hook it up to the Wi-Fi, and I've got everything that a full Windows 10 PC can do right from here. And this actually even has sound on it too, so that's another really cool feature of it. And like I said, it is not the fastest thing in the world, but I wasn't intending it for. I love the setup. I love what it does, and I'm going to keep using it. So you can see it's already loaded here. Now I'm going to put the Tuner Studio farther up in the startup, but for now, it is what it is. There it is. So it pops right back up as soon as I shut it down, but it's manual. That's the only thing that but this is my race car. It's not a daily or anything like that. So here's the other thing to keep in mind also is that these parts, they're easily accessible. There's minimal setup. You get the Windows 10 PC, you go through the setup, you put all your stuff on it. If you get it through me, I can set it up for you. Like if you're not computer savvy, they're on my website. I can set them up pretty easily. There's a bunch of different sizes of displays. I've got a 12.6-inch one that'll fit here. I've got this one. It all depends on how you want to mount it. But, you can see, obviously, I've fabricated this one with some stuff I had laying around. But it's available on Amazon. It's not that expensive. I think this monitor was, I'll have to get the part. I don't remember how much it was. But, for what I've got into it, I love it. It's, like I said, a full Windows 10 PC, and it's just super easy to use. My biggest gripe with the Raspberry Pi is that they're just kind of clunky, and unless you've used a lot of Linux operating systems, it makes it kind of clunky. Now, obviously you can get used to that, but for a lot of people trying to learn something else while they're in the middle of doing something like racing their car, just a pain in the butt. So I'm going to show you the parts I got that I used to make this, and then kind of go from there. So here are the parts that I used to make this. Is pretty straightforward. It's a Larkbox Pro. I got the one with the Windows operating system. It's a mini PC, and it is tiny. Comes in a nice box. It's got some odds and ends in it, but yeah, it's just a Larkbox Pro, and then here's just a 10-inch ultra thin LED or LCD monitor that I got with it. So, and it does have, like, the buttons along the bottom of it are touch, but don't really need them for much. You can change the contrast, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And then the other thing is, this is just some metal that I had laying around, courtesy of a buddy of mine. But yeah, I got some of this metal, and I used it to make kind of a cage in there, and then I just have a slider that lets the monitor slide out and stay in place. So relatively simple. I used some basic tools that I had laying around the shop here. We've got a brake, and then I used this mini metal cutting saw, which is probably one of my favorite tools that I own. This thing's from Eastwood, and I tell you what, this thing cuts anything really easy. Like aluminum, so easy. There's no heat added to it. The other thing is that it throws a lot of metal chips. Big whoop-de-doo. But this cut that metal really easily, and then I just used some small 1032 screws and put it together. I'm obviously in love with this. I put a lot of time into just finding the right parts and making this look the way I wanted it to. And even the monitor, here, let me show you. Even the monitor, like, folding it away is not, a thing of beauty or anything like that. I mean, I just made it to where it would store it. So, there we go. It slides up in there. It's up out of the way. Then when I want it, and it doesn't slide flawlessly. Obviously, there's some room for improvement, but I like it. Pretty darn perfect for me. Well, thanks for tuning in again. Race week is over, and I'm still working on my car. I got some other things coming up. I got Streetcar Takeover that I'm going to take my car to in Bandimere here. And then also the Sturgis Mustang Rally is going to be here pretty soon. I think it's August 31st through the 5th of September, so that's going to be pretty cool. Stay tuned. I got a lot of cool videos coming up, too. I got a bunch of parts that I'm going to put in my car. Hopefully get a roll cage here and soon. We'll see how that works out. Thanks for watching, guys. Drive fast, take chances. See you later.